Get those papers ready. We got news. We got some news, Tone.
This looks like I'm jerking everybody off when I'm doing that.
I'm staying away. Come on, Britt. Come on, Britt. You're better than that. I literally muted you guys.
Fucking prick.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a sweet support system you got there.
She's busy trying to figure out how many inches are in a foot anyways tonight, so.
Okay, well then, that could be really, really dirty. All right, Tone, we got some news to discuss this week. A couple interesting topics. First up, let's talk Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth did an interview with Vanity this week, and it turns out, Tone, he is somewhat bummed about the whiff that was Thor, Love, and Thunder.
You know, now that we're talking about this, I feel like after that movie come out, I feel like he even said something very alluding to that too. Now that I'm racking my brain, but continue. Sorry.
So last year, like in an interview, Chris Hemsworth said Thor was too silly for its own good, but the misstep appears to continue to haunt him to this day.
Okay, that was okay. So he did say something.
That was last year.
Okay,
yep, he said it was kind of a misstep.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting at.
But then he came out and told Vanity this week, he goes, I got caught up in the improv and the wackiness, and I kind of became a parody of myself.
Yeah.
I didn't stick the landing. He admitted that he grew frustrated with the character while playing him in 4 standalone Marvel movies and an additional Avenger movies. And he even had this to say about the character itself. Sometimes I felt like a security guard for the team. I would read everyone else's lines and go, oh, they got way cooler stuff. They're having more fun. What's my character doing? It was always about, you've got the wig on, you've got the muscles, you've got the costume. Where's the lightning? Yeah, I'm part of this big thing, but I'm probably pretty replaceable. So clearly he not only was he not happy with Thor, Love, and Thunder, but he also feels like Thor isn't really a part of the main core, even though he's promoted that way. The PR shows Thor is one of the big wigs. He's one of the big dogs of the Avengers, but he doesn't feel like his character is as important as Steve Rogers or Tony Stark.
I feel like none of them have been packaged. Truthfully,
he's not wrong. You're not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Yeah, he's not wrong.
And, he clearly wants to give the fans the Thor movie they deserve, but he also told Entertainment Weekly last year that he wasn't sure how long he could continue to play the role. He said then a potential Thor 5 would have to be unpredictable. He went on to say, I don't want to continue to do it until people are so exhausted that they roll their eyes when they see me come on the screen as that character.
He's very self-aware then because people are doing that and have been for a minute, so...
If an audience wants to see it, and if there's something that we believe is exciting and fun, then great. I've loved being able to reinvent that character a few times. I don't have the answer yet, but I would love to try and figure out how we can do that again and keep it a little unpredictable. He really loves this character, and he understands his career was catapulted because of it. It's not like he's not appreciative of the opportunity to play Thor. But I feel like, Tone, we've heard this sentiment from several other people who have been tied to the MCU. Elizabeth Olsen is one of them. She's come out and said, I'm more interested in doing other work now. And she should. She's a fucking incredibly talented
dynamite actress.
And when you have her in these dramatic roles outside of MCU, she's really good. You're like, she's got a future for sure.
She's awesome.
Yeah. And you see like Robert Downey Jr., he was in the MCU for a long time, and now he's starting to branch out. Got an Oscar win last year with Oppenheimer. He's got some other stuff cooking.
More time on his hands.
Yeah, and he's able to take on other roles outside of the comic book movie. And now he's still got, Chris Evans has moved on by all accounts. We don't know if he's coming back. Probably not.
Well, the rumors are right now.
Robert Downey Jr. is currently doing his own thing.
I don't know if you saw the rumors of Chris Evans this week.
What did he say?
That he might be actually signed back on for Secret Wars. I don't know if it's fully confirmed.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it as old Cap?
No, it'd be Cap. And I think I read as well too. Now listen, it's all rumor and hearsay. We don't know, but I know RDJ has been. They've been trying to pull him too, but the rumors were this week that Chris Evans is potentially attached back to the MCU. But
see, and I can understand why these guys on one hand would be like, do I really want to go back to this?
And they got a break. They needed a break from it. I get it.
Do I want to go back to this? Especially like Robert Downey Jr. just won an Oscar.
Yeah.
We know what he's capable of. He's capable of doing really good in movies and dramatic roles and stuff outside of the MCU. He's ready to thrive and win all the awards. Chris Evans has had a pretty good run outside of it as well. He's done pretty good, but you know what, Tone? You can sit there and wonder if it's a good idea or not, but when Disney shows up with a check and says, bro, whatever you want, because we know if you show up for these movies, billions. We're going to make billions at the box office.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I like about, like, I all three of these guys that we're talking about currently, and gals, really, when you talk about Elizabeth or even Scarlett, Chris is, I don't know, I just really like him as a person, like in interviews when he does fun stuff. Like, Evans is fun as well, too. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody loves RDJ, but, like, Chris Hemsworth is he's just one of those guys where I feel like he's gonna show up at your house no matter if he's a star or not and just try to fit in. Like, he'll be the fun guy. I just feel like it wouldn't be any bullshit with him, and
like he doesn't let it go to his head.
That's why I appreciate him saying this stuff, because I think that proves that. Because I always say you can't do things without criticizing things or enjoying them. You have to be able to have a certain measure of, like, I can always
humility,
be better.
You gotta be humble.
Nothing's ever 100%.
Right.
There's always improvement, right? And I appreciate that coming from him, because that means he knows as well too. Like, I love Ragnarok. Not everybody does.
I love Ragnarok.
Rohit doesn't like Ragnarok because it got too jokey and too fun with.
If you want an honest opinion, I go Ragnarok, the first Thor, the second Thor.
Ragnarok's my favorite Thor.
Ragnarok's awesome.
Ragnarok is my favorite Thor for sure. But we also got to remember as we wind back in time, like, because Rohit's not alone in that. There's a lot of people that like more of the comic book version of Thor. The first Thor movie, when he had the dumb fucking blonde eyebrows and everything, they tried to keep him a little bit more like in that box, but also tried to, like, find a way to humanize him. Yeah, and almost like it's kind of broke that character in a certain way. Yep. That movie didn't do great. It didn't get received well by everybody. I mean, a lot of us watched it, I think, but, like, it was never, like, for Thor fans. I think it's always just been like this teeter totter. Yeah, the first Thor.
I always thought the second one was the one that most people hated.
They did, but I feel like Thor kind of deviating from Thor started in that movie. Like, of all the movies that have been like the Iron Mans, the Captain Americas, Thor has never really been able to hold a candle to those other ones, like his character. And it's because of the way he's grown constantly. I don't hate Dark World. I know a lot of people do. I actually like Dark World. It's just the same MCU problem. The villain is built up to be awesome and then ends up being a pussy. But so you've got a character who's literally a god on Earth, on Midgar, and how do you do that? Like, the problem is that they got him. I mean, we had to get Jane Foster involved. I understand that, but, like, they humanized him too much and too fast, I feel like, and they had to figure out a way how they're going to write through that. He was around Kat Dennings, and she's all jokey and stuff like that. So he was getting wedged. That character was evolving, and eventually, by the time you get into more Thors and keep going, like, don't get me wrong, his one-liners and his delivery—that's what makes this Thor in the MCU good, is because of Chris Hemsworth. But we let it ride too far, too long. And somebody said, Taika, have more control here of Love and Thunder. And we've been very critical of that movie since that came out. Even though Ragnarok had a lot of levity, still had
it was the perfect
story. It was
the perfect
very entertaining. It felt like an 80s action flick in a way.
There was a sense of urgency. There was a viable threat.
There was a lot of things going on there. So, again, I love that movie, but it went off the rails in Love and Thunder. And Thor was on that trajectory anyways, and it's a shame that they took Gore, they took this crazy good villain that was huge in the comics, and literally, and we've talked about it again, I know we've said it, but, like, took a guy like Christian Bale with a huge villain role and literally made him this non-hardly threat until the last 10 minutes. A guy that killing gods but stole children. Kidnapped kids. Like, so point I'm saying, long story short on that, is that I'm glad that Hemsworth is saying that out loud, because somebody needs to be able to do that, and it has to be somebody like him. Because if he wants to come back, it's got to be worth the while, and it's got to be something that the fans are going to want to see as well too, because the MCU has been kind of a mess for the last few years as it is.
And I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder, he feels like he's responsible. He's responsible for the character.
Right, because he cares enough about it.
He cares about the character, and you have to respect that, and you have to appreciate it, especially not as a fan, but also as a producer, a studio. You have to be like, hey, look, this guy really wants to be here, but we got to start doing something with this character to make him memorable. And I do agree with him. He is kind of like just that guy that's there to bring some heavy hitting when you need it. We've never seen him, like, really take on, like, I don't think his arc ever got as heartfelt as Steve Rogers or as Tony Stark's. I don't feel like he's ever gotten to that point.
Well, it did, but it turned into a joke at the end, because Chubby Thor, that whole storyline about his PTSD, trauma, and all that stuff, it was all great, but it was all minimalized because you had it ended up being a bit, because you had all these great characters around him. They had him turn into this big chubby dude that wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, so again, like he had the potential for that, but they just kind of rid him piss poorly, and he was doing what he could with it. You know,
Yeah.
even when he was like in that scene where he's talking about stuff and trying to say, "Well, I can help and still do stuff," and this, and they're just kind of like, Thor, you're chubby now, go sit down," kind of thing. Like, you know, it never really made it feel like he was a part of the big. The first Avengers, kind of, when they started fighting in the woods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In that era. But it's just kind of a shame that it never got to be more than just a few jokes. So I get it.
Like I get where he's coming from, and I really hope that they're able to do another Thor, and so he's able to give the people the Thor that he thinks they deserve. But I mean, like he's like all these other actors. I mean, he's got Extraction movies on Netflix that are doing incredibly well. We do know that he's obviously he's a villain in the upcoming Furiosa
movie. Which is where some of this talk is coming from, right?
Yeah, because it's Furiosa and it's been Extraction where he's been able to kind of like break out of that comic book hero and be more of a humanized person. Obviously, you know, Extraction is still an action movie, like an 80s inspired action movie. But his character is a lot more developed, I feel like, than Thor's, like in terms of like what kind of range he's allowed to show.
And that was part of what the article was saying. What he had said was that this allowed him to finally kind of like break out a little bit more, give him a little bit more free reign with the character, like playing this villain, having a little bit more.
That's why I'm really excited about Furiosa, because like the trailers that we've seen with him, I'm just like, this is something we haven't seen him do before.
Yeah.
And to be able to see him showcase, now whether or not it works, we don't know. But from what I saw in the trailer, I'm like, cool, man. Unhinged Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, still got that levity. Because
I'm cool
honestly,
with that.
When he does comedy, he's got great delivery.
Yeah, he's great timing. But I do want to see what he's like in a more menacing role, where like he is a legitimate threat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see how dark he can make a character as opposed to being the good guy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually, if he can show that he can do that in Furiosa, that he can do the bad guy, the villain, and whatnot, then I think that shows that he has range. And then I think you'll start seeing some of the more dramatic roles maybe get offered his way. Show something that isn't you just running around blowing shit up in an action movie, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I feel like we've seen it from a lot of the other MCU people. They've been allowed to go out there and showcase their abilities as dramatic actors, and they're very good at it. We're still waiting for his. And I feel like you're right. I feel like not only is Extraction to a degree a part of that, but I think his performance in Furiosa will be indicative of what kind of work he gets in the future, because he's gonna have to show that he has a lot different range than what he had in Thor or even Extraction. As playing a villain is a lot different than playing a hero.
Absolutely.
So really interesting stuff, man. Like I said, and this is stuff I didn't really know about, you know, and it's cool. Like you said, he's able to talk about that. He doesn't sit there and blame the writers. He takes responsibility. Like, hey, I kind of bought into the improv bullshit and all that stuff, and I was a part of the problem. And it takes a level of humility and honesty to say that sort of thing. So we'll see. Well, I mean, I do hope we get another Thor movie. I would love to see it. I'm sure we'll see Thor again at some point.
He's got great stories that they could tell that could be a little bit darker and would be good for his character.
Yeah.
He's got some good shit out there. So
really interesting article. Check it out if you haven't had time to yet. It's a pretty good read, man. Like I said, very very humble dude.
Not to go with this story, but Jay Hill mentions about the Ryan Reynolds apparently cut cameo scenes in Deadpool and Wolverine with Brie Larson, the She-Hulk. You know, I see a lot of back and forth on that. I didn't have an issue with Captain Marvel movie, at least the first one especially. And I also really enjoyed the She-Hulk series. But I know that not everybody did, and you know we don't really know for sure if that's real. I suppose, and maybe it is. We don't even know the reason why back and forth. It could have been above Ryan. It could have been an MCU move, because those characters in those series or movies have, you know, the fan base is a little split on it.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, maybe they thought it was a good creative thing to not like let's work with some other people and characters and not bring something that might be a red alarm for other people. Who knows?
Yeah,
right?
Or it's possible maybe the scenes just didn't work. Maybe it just doesn't fit the tone of the movie. Maybe it feels forced. Maybe it feels like you're just doing it to put them in it. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could come into play in those types of decisions.
It sounded like the Brie Larson, like with Captain Marvel, was a very like on the nose bit that the character's been doing, and even her in some ways. And
really?
Like she goes, well, I'm the strongest character in Marvel or whatever, the strongest character in blah 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 again, and people are kind of over that kind of talk. But the thing that bums me about the She-Hulk thing specifically is because she's the other fourth wall breaker. And I would love to have seen her and Deadpool break fourth wall together. I think that would have been fucking
I'd be shocked if that
really
was a
nice.
Ryan Reynolds thing. I think that's just more Disney going, look, we're not doing a second season. We're done with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, we're not getting another season
Well,
of it.
Both of them have been pretty it's one thing for, Chris Hemsworth to criticize himself.
Yeah.
Both Brie and Tatiana have been very critical of Marvel.
See, I don't mind Tatiana though. I think she has a case. I think she can sit there and be critical because I didn't hate She-Hulk. I thought it was actually, I thought she was really good. I thought she had great she had great screen presence. Like she was really good.
I loved the series.
And not giving that another chance to breathe, to get another go. I can understand her. Brie Larson, different story.
Yeah.
You've been in a couple of them already. You've been kind of snooty about stuff. Different story. But the other girl, I think she has every right to be upset because Disney already basically said, no, we're good here. So I'm not surprised that her part got cut because Disney's like, look, we're not doing the show. You're an afterthought.
Yeah.
We're not going to bring you back for a big-ass Marvel movie, the only movie of the year, just to remind people she's not coming back.
Right.
That's pointless. That's just pointless. So that cut, I can understand. The Brie Larson thing, I'll be curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, I'm curious about it all across the board, so I don't know.
Interesting. All right, Tony, you ready for some weird fucking news?
Yeah.
I mean,
this is
really
weird.
weird.
This has been hitting everything.
The Rock.
The final boss.
The final
the
boss.
Barama Bowl. The people's champ.
One of the most likable people in Hollywood.
Man in Hollywood, yes.
People love his movies. People love The Rock.
Yeah.
He's gone full heel, and I'm cool with that, but now I think he's gone full heel in real life.
Apparently.
In real life. Now, again, a lot of this is insiders and people sharing things anonymously. Some people are critical of The Rock. Others are supportive of him and say that's not true. But here's the story that broke from The Wrap. Dwayne The Rock Johnson has reportedly become an issue during production of the upcoming Christmas action movie Red One, which is supposed to air on Netflix this Christmas. With insiders claiming in a new report that the Black Adam star managed to make the film's budget increase by at least $50 million, up to $250 million. The budget for a Netflix movie is $250 million. That's a lot. That's more than most Marvel movies. Not all. Some Marvel movies are really expensive. Claims from insiders who work with the actor allege that he often showed up to set as much as 8 hours late to shoot the movie, causing the crew to work around his absence. An even weirder habit, Tone, to the continued dismay of the crew, saw Johnson peeing in water bottles to save time. And then he would give those water bottles to a personal assistant to dispose of. Now, look, dude. I love The Rock.
And you like peeing in bottles?
I mean, and look, in some instances, peeing in a bottle is probably a viable option.
Mm-hmm.
It's a necessity in order to meet production or do certain things for certain jobs. I get that. There are certain things there. If my man can show up several hours late to set, he can walk his ass to his trailer or the nearest porta-john to go take a leak. And I mean, look, dude, I'm not going to sit there and say I would beat up The Rock. I wouldn't. He'd fucking do something terrible to me, put me through a table, whatever. But if The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, comes up to me and hands me a bottle of his piss to go empty, I'll tell you this right now with no shame. I don't care if I ruin my credibility in Hollywood. I'd spray that bottle in his face and throw it in his face as well, the bottle itself, and tell him to go fuck himself. I would say it to The Rock. No one is going to hand me a bottle of piss and say, dispose of this for me. No, bro. I'm not that interested to move along in Hollywood. And everyone's like, oh, you're full of shit. No, I have principles. There's certain things I'll do.
I would just be like, how much am I getting paid for this, dude?
And then not even that. No,
Yeah,
dude. Like I don't give a fuck who you are. If you come up to me and give me a bottle of your piss and tell me to dispose of it, I'm spraying it in your face and throwing the bottle in
Probably
your fucking
from all
face.
his Zoa energy drinks he's drinking.
I don't give a shit, dude.
He's
That
peeing.
if there's any truth to that story, he's a fucking loser. I'm sorry. He's a loser. That's a loser thing to do.
What if it's in the contract of the personal assistant?
I wouldn't have signed it in the first place.
Okay.
I look at the contract and be like, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And walk off.
Jay Hill would sell the pee on eBay.
Sell the piss on eBay. Awesome. I'm not emptying somebody's bottle of piss, bro. Some more sources say on set, away from his trailer, if he needed to pee, he doesn't go to the public bathroom. He pees in a Voss water bottle, and his team or a PA has to dispose of it.
That's fucking wild.
One insider said it was a fucking disaster with him on set. Another one said Dwayne truly doesn't give a fuck at all. So, like, all these stories go. Now, there were some other insiders, people that were saying, well, he's not that bad. He's not that bad. Those are the people trying to make their way to the top.
So far, and we got more yet, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's issued a statement on any of this yet.
He has not.
I just want to put that.
But the rep for the studio.
That says a lot.
Here's the thing. A rep for Amazon MGM Studios told TMZ, Dwayne Johnson and $7 have been incredible partners on Red One, a film that audiences of all ages are going to love this holiday season.
Like Jingle All the Way.
Our testing has been very strong. The reaction from CinemaCon speaks for itself, and we couldn't have made it without Dwayne's constant work and support. Dude, that is just fucking corporate speak right there.
That person's the one that takes the pee bottles.
Yeah, that person there drinks the piss if Dwayne tells him to.
Am I getting energy from this?
So, I mean, just a weird thing going on. But, I mean, we've heard this for a couple. I mean, he had an issue with
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. And everyone was like, oh, Vin's just being a fucking baby about stuff because he's not on The Rock's level and this and that.
Wonder.
But now you're starting to wonder. Maybe he's kind of a dick.
Maybe it is The Rock.
Maybe he is kind of a piece of shit. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. All I know is there are some reports saying he's a piece of shit and some other reports and studio executives who need this movie to do really well, painting a wonderful picture that it's been great to work with The Rock. We love him because we need you to subscribe to Netflix and compensate and make up for this fucking $250 million.
The Rock's pizzing.
But that's not all, Tone.
No, it's not all.
Apparently, The Rock got into a tiff with Ryan Reynolds while they were working on a movie years ago called Red Notice, which we reviewed.
Which was very subpar. With
Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Gal Gadot. And while it wasn't the blow-up fight that has been suggested, it was a real thing. Production sources with direct knowledge of the incidents tell TMZ that Ryan, who was the lead in their 2021 action film Red Notice, opposite The Rock, did in fact confront Dwayne while they were shooting in 2020 at the height of the pandemic about his habits of showing up late, kind of being a douchebag on set. And they did have an argument, but it wasn't an all-out brawl like it was first reported. And they have since kind of like worked things out. Ryan, being the professional he is, went to Dwayne and said, hey, man, this is kind of a problem. We need to work it out. Apparently they worked it out, and now they're on good terms, which is fine. That's great. But Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
has he become like a
is that like the power of Hollywood, though? I mean, like, imagine if look, I am a fucking nobody. Imagine if I pissed in a bottle, Tone, and said, Tone, go throw this out for me.
How much money you could pay me?
If you knew I was broke as fuck, which I am, you'd be like, fuck out of here, dude. I don't give a fuck who you are. Play this shit for The Rock. Dwayne, I'm never going to go to Hollywood, and if I did, my only track to get to Hollywood is go and be your PA. You hand me a bottle of piss, you're going to wear it. And you can fucking beat the shit out of me all you want. I don't care. You're going to wear your piss. I just, when I read that, I was like, I hope there's no truth to that. If he wants to show up 7-8 hours late because he's busy working out and doing whatever, that part, it's like, whatever, dude. All these guys are divas. That's fine. You hand me a bottle of your piss, you're wearing it, bro.
And I want to say this to The Rock. If you're paying how much and holla.
I'll do it. Tone will do it for half. He'll do it for half.
Right. Hook it up. Hook it up.
Just what a weird story.
That's all really puzzling. And I feel like because I don't really believe in coincidences. There's too much things in common
where there's smoke.
Here. Right. And you got somebody like Ryan, you got somebody like Vin Diesel, other people that people typically say, and you can tell Ryan's just always like super nice. You know what I mean? Like he's Canadian, he has to be. It's like in his blood.
Like that's their trait.
Yeah. So it almost kind of started to put some things together. Like maybe The Rock is the bad guy, and because early on in the career, you always thought he was the nice guy. He was always fun. He always saw that very charitable, doing good things. Now, man, I guess you get to.
People always say the people who are always like doing stuff like that. Sometimes, most times, I want to say people are genuinely doing good things because they want to. But sometimes people do that shit to fucking make themselves feel better about being a fucking piece of shit. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. I'm just saying not everybody that's big on doing charity and being super helpful is a good person at heart.
Yeah, you might be right, J. Hill.
And that's just the reality of the situation. That's just the reality of the world. There are some people that will do that, like you said, for optics' sake. Oh, he's a swell guy. Is he?
Yeah, is he?
Is he really a swell guy if you treat people like shit?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you peeing in bottles. How much you paying? Let me know.
Vin Diesel probably so happy right now. Finally, you understand how I felt. I mean, like I said, man, it only takes after a while. You just start to wonder, are these rumors true? And I mean, it'll affect people. It almost killed Katherine Heigl's career. I think it pretty much did.
Right.
Anne Hathaway went through it for a while. Edward Norton, renowned being incredibly difficult to work with, I don't want to say he got blackballed, but he was like pretty much like, I was like, I'm not working with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just like, look, man, not everybody. And what's the one saying? Don't always hope you meet your heroes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they
always let you down or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's just you never know who they really are until you meet them, and then when you do, you might not like who they are.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this turns. I didn't even know he was making a movie called The Rebel, but $250 for a fucking Christmas movie, which does star J.K. Simmons as Santa. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
That's a good Santa.
I'm okay with this.
Hopefully
I'll
he's
check
jacked
it out.
like he usually is.
But I mean, these are the types of stories when they come out now, they do tend to affect the way the movie is received. Because it is. I mean, it's hard to watch a movie when you know the person's a fucking dirtbag actor. It's weird, man. It was just a really weird story that broke out. It's kind of gone around, and one party says one thing, one party says another, so you don't have any confirmation. But there is, like you said, Tone. After a while, when there's smoke.
This reminds me of the Vin Diesel shit. Exactly like it.
Yeah,
literally. It was two sides against other about. One word about whatever, one word against theirs or whatever. So yeah.
Curious to see. I'll be watching this, man. I would like to. And I think the more people that talk about it, I think others are gonna be like, you know what, fuck it.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. And like I said, he hasn't said anything yet on this, so he's got to be thinking how he's gonna work through this with the because that could be a PR nightmare. But at the end of the day, he's such a fucking wanted man in Hollywood. Like, is it really gonna affect him?
But he has to be very careful because that can end real fucking fast.
Yeah.
Because the people, I mean, they can look. Netflix is a great way to look at somebody's popularity, and if more stories come out about him being a piece of shit, Netflix can look at those views and we ain't getting the views we wanted on this. We just lost a bunch of fucking money.
Right.
So, like I said, man, you can be popular, but if the truth starts to come out that you're a fucking scumbag, you're not gonna last, and not in this society. Well, how fucking quick people are to cancel others. You end up being a piece of shit. That'll end real fast. It's not like the 80s where you can overcome that stuff all the time by just saying the right thing or telling a funny joke. Nowadays, you fucking do that shit, you'll be done fast. Be curious to see where that goes, man. All right, Tone, last bit of news. Bethesda is riding high right now. Fallout the show, fucking awesome. Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 are at the top of the fucking Steam boards for games being played right now due to the interest in all things Fallout. Bethesda's trying to figure out how the fuck can we get Fallout 5 out faster now. We're trying to figure out, can we make it or do we have to fucking contract it out to another developer to make another Fallout game in the meantime? They got a lot of things they're focused on, but they also focus on Starfield, Tone. Starfield came out, what was it, last fall or last summer?
Let's see, when did I take my most naps? Fall.
Starfield came out last fall to mostly positive reviews. There was a lot of hype coming out. It was the big title from Bethesda that was launching as an Xbox exclusive. It was the next big Xbox game, the next big Bethesda game. A lot of people likened it to Fallout in space, which I think that appeals to a lot of people for the most part. But when the game came out, one of the things about the game was that on Xbox consoles, it was capped at 30 frames. Could not go over 60 frames. The PC.
I felt visible. I felt like you could see that.
Oh yeah, look, man, 30 frames. The difference between 30 and 60 frames is noticeable. I fucking hate anybody that says, "Oh, you can't really tell." Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can tell.
Especially if you got a 75 fucking inch TV, you can tell.
But the other thing you can tell at 30 frames is you can still have a smooth 30 frames. Yeah. And kind of this isn't ideal 30 frames. Yeah. Destiny 2 was a proper 30 frame game. I was like, man, this is a first person shooter that's 30 frames that feels really fucking
smooth.
Good. Smooth. And so when Starfield came out, everyone was like, I'm playing it on PC. I want the high settings. I want the 60 frames, this and that. Awesome.
Makes sense.
Still, the game was well received. People loved it. People that did play it, they loved it. I haven't really been able to get into it because I just felt like, we'll see.
I think even the people that like it, just it's big. It's just big and it's boring.
I mean, I've gone back, dude. Just recently, I jumped back into Fallout 4. I started a playthrough on that. I started over because we got the next gen updates, and on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, you can either run in performance mode at 60 frames, which is really nice, looks great. But I am a fan of that 140 FPS mode if your TV has VRR. What is it? What is VRR? Anyways, it's a certain mode that kind of clears things up, so no screen tearing,
Right.
makes it smooth, but you get 40 frames a second, which is proven over 30, and it is noticeable. I've been playing Fallout 4 in the quality mode, but at 40 frames as opposed to 30, chef's kiss. It's really nice. When I play it on the TV, a variable refresh rate. That's what it is. Variable refresh rate. Played on the big screen, 40 frames, awesome. Today, Bethesda announced that there is a big update coming to Starfield on May 15th. It's available now on Steam in beta. You can check it out on beta if you own the game on Steam. But we do know on May 14th or 15th, we will be getting a massive update for Starfield. Xbox Series X will get a 60 FPS mode. It'll run at 40 FPS on VRR displays as well as an unlocked VRR. So if you have quality mode and you can run that thing at 40 FPS, I'd recommend that. If you have the TV they can handle. If not, 60 FPS for sure. You're going to get new gameplay options, new difficulty options, tons of quality life improvements, surface maps. The maps. They showed a couple photos. I was like, thank Christ.
Is it more like Skyrim now?
Very much so.
Okay.
Like you'll be able to see buildings and all.
Jesus
the maps is fucking great.
It's the little things in life, dude.
Very, very nice. Also, almost caught up on Star Citizen. Should be there in 10 years.
Right.
And we're gonna get new features: ship interior customization.
Ooh.
Go in there, add some some colors, paints, what have you. Dialogue camera toggle. Don't know what the fuck that is, but it sounds cool. New Game Plus, always a win. Trait respecking, awesome. Visual and performance modes. And in development, this is one I do like. Land vehicle for planetary exploration.
Thank fucking fuck.
Hop in your car and drive around.
Some of those fucking missions where you have to fucking just
hike it.
Dude, Jesus.
Nothing between you and the next objective.
Right.
Super annoying. That's awesome. A creation kit. Now it's selected creators, new quests, and lastly, obviously, the massive Shattered Space expansion, which is set to drop this fall. Fall 2024.
And then they said after that update, the second update will be the fun mode.
Jeez, did they add the ability for me to load into my ship that spawned under the ground? I think that's just a Bethesda exclusive perk.
Yeah, that's a bug perk.
Yeah, that's just what you get with the Bethesda games. But no, I think this is really, really good, man, because obviously, man, if you're playing on Xbox Series X, now mind you, that performance mode is for Series X only. Series S people, enjoy what you got now because that's what you're going to be playing forever.
But yeah.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is going on over there? And the spiders are undoing hooks over here and shit.
If I was a spider, I'd fucking kill myself right here live.
Yeah, sweet.
I think this is great. Like I said, I think it's awesome. I probably not going to jump into Starfield anytime soon. I am swamped. I want to finish Fallout. Dude, Fallout 4 came out in 2015, and I have not finished that game. I finished all Fallout 3. I put a ton of hours into that. I was like, I have to see this through to completion. So now that I'm getting at a nice frame rate, I'm getting better visuals. I'm fully into it. I got and it does help. The show is awesome. The show reinvigorated my love for it. I was like, I want to get back into it, explore this world. I dig it. Yeah. So I'm playing that. I'm playing Stellar Blade. And thankfully, dude, there's only one game in May, so I have some time. Hellblade 2 comes out in 20 days, so I'm really fucking hyped about Hellblade 2. But like I do want to at some point go back. I'm not going to start over in Starfield because again, I just don't feel like it's the type of game where I'm at so far, I'm super like, oh my God, the story is amazing.
Well, that's the thing about it. It's one of those things where it's almost better just to try to pick up where you're at and go forward because there is a lot to do. And I hate replaying shit, especially like when it's certain dialogues and different choices and stuff like that. Like I just, kind of going with that trajectory. So it would be cool. Like I probably won't jump back into it. Like, I make a lot of jokes, but like I do say it's a massive, big, like very mid game, very, very mid. Like even today with some of these announcements in the last few days, because of Fallout, it's been, popular.
The focus is back on Bethesda.
Starfield's getting a lot of talk on like Reddit and shit like that too. But even the people out there that love the game, that's still playing the game, they're the first to admit, it's not. We don't even know why we're still playing it. It's fucking kind of boring and it's just big and it's lukewarm fun. But I think that there's definitely things about it that's very enticing, which is space exploration and stuff like that. So it's cool to see they've got a lot of these quality of life things. That was some of the big ones for me that really drive me nuts. But again, once that fun DLC pops out, I might check it out again. But the fact that I've already beaten it and I could potentially go into a new game. Plus,
oh, you did beat Starfield.
I did beat Starfield. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I beat it. Months ago, like in the fall.
Okay.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm very critical on Bethesda games anyways, and I'm very critical on Starfield because I was really excited for Starfield. But keep in mind that I still put like 60 some hours into this fucking game.
I did not know this.
I'm not just saying this shit to like do a bit or say something.
Oh, okay.
I'm partly.
Well, I mean, it's
because part of the bit. But I beat the game. I put 60 hours into it. I went through some of the main or part quest lines that I really like, So, but again, it's just it's a very mid fun game. But it's cool. I know that this will probably it came out last year, so. I mean, 10 years worth of gaming. Skyrim, we're thinking this will probably get released 24 times in the next 7 console cycles. So
I don't know, honestly, man. Based on what I mean, and maybe I'm wrong. I know mods. I've never been a guy that's like, oh, I gotta add all these mods. I like to play the base game the developer created, and that's what they want me to play, and I'm fine with that. But at the same time, I don't know if Starfield generated the buzz or delivered the goods quite like Skyrim did. Skyrim for me, and I know you're different on this, like Skyrim for me was fucking incredible. Like for them to sit there and constantly remake that game, I get it because that's one of the best worlds I ever played.
I know. I say that is my favorite Bethesda game, and I always say I put 110 hours in that first time through, and I loved every minute. Like it's a great game. Like it was quite a world to explore.
I think that's why they remade it so many times and did so many, because it's something that a new person can jump into and be like, fuck, man, this is dope.
It's just like fucking microtransactions and DLC.
Yeah.
If people are fucking paying for it and still wanting it and they're still thriving for it,
they're gonna fucking buy it.
They're gonna fucking.
I don't know if Starfield has hit that level of
I don't know that it will.
Or famousness or infamy or whatever you want to call it. It's not quite there yet. I don't know if it ever will.
If they use it as a framework, because we're in a different world than 2011 when Skyrim came out, and because it's space and universal, if they keep adding DLC, if they use this as like
a No Man's Sky,
right? If they use it like a No Man's Sky roadmap, that's a whole different story. We could, like, if 10 years from now, this is like what No Man's Sky has been doing over the last 7-8 years. That's a whole different dialogue.
Yeah,
and they really could. They have the map there for that. No pun intended.
Yeah, no, this is exciting, man. Like I said, this will be dropping on May 15th. It's available now on Steam. If you have the beta, you can check out all these different features, all these new modes and quality of life changes. That's fucking awesome. I'll probably take a peek at it when it drops, but that's a week before Hellblade 2, so I'm going to make sure my slate is clean for that. But let us know what you think of this. Are you excited to check out the 60 FPS mode, the 40 FPS VRR mode? I think that's going to make Xbox Series X players very happy because you kind of get to see this game as a next-gen title as opposed to something that's being held back by the Series S, which it's been the case for several first-party titles. Fuck the Series S. I'm sorry. Leave that shit behind and focus on the X. And if Series S people want 60 FPS, sell it and go buy an Xbox Series X.
It's like when Sony was still talking PS2 3 cycles in the PS3.
Right.
Well, PS2 sales, like, what the fuck?
Nobody fucking cares, bro.